find yourself consistently experiencing self-doubt, even in areas where you typically excel? If so, you might suffer with imposter syndrome. Let's dig a little deeper into that, shall we? Psychologists Susanna Imes and Pauline Rose Clance first used this term in the 1970s. It is defined as the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. People suffering from imposter syndrome may be at an increased risk of anxiety. However, imposter syndrome is not a diagnosable mental illness. Yet, 70% of people experience at least one episode of this phenomena at some point in their lives. In the article, Imposter Syndrome, Why You May Feel Like a Fraud by Arlen Kunsick, which you can find on verywellmind.com, states that if you think you suffer from this, here are some questions you can ask yourself. Do you agonize over the smallest mistakes or flaws in your performance? Do you attribute your success to luck or outside factors? Are you sensitive to constructive criticism? Very much, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my Yeah. Do you feel like you will inevitably be found out as a phony? Do you downplay your own expertise, even in areas where you are genuinely more skilled than others? I'd like to know in the comments how many of these you found to be true. More symptoms include an inability to realistically assess our competence and skills, attributing your success to external factors, berating your performance, fear that you won't live up to your expectations, overachieving, sabotaging your own success, self-doubt, setting very challenging goals and feeling disappointed when you fall short. This article also says, for some people, imposter syndrome can fuel motivation to achieve, but this usually comes at the cost of experiencing constant anxiety. You might over-prepare or work much harder than necessary, for instance, to make sure nobody finds out you are a fraud. Eventually, anxiety worsens and may lead to depression. Imposter syndrome results in restlessness and nervousness. It may manifest inside of you as negative self-talk, the same as the symptoms of anxiety and depression. The article then goes on to say that this sets up a vicious cycle in which you think that the only reason you survived that class presentation was that you stayed up all night rehearsing it. Or you think the only reason you got through that party or family gathering was that you memorized the details about all the guests, so you would always have ideas for small talk. The problem with imposter syndrome is that the experience of doing well at something does nothing to change your beliefs. The thought still nags in your head. What gives me the right to be here? The more you accomplish, the more you feel like a fraud. It's as though you can't internalize your experiences of success. That was a lot to chew on, right? Not more than the workload you take for yourself every day. Can you relate to anything that I read there? Are you a little concerned now? All right, well, there are degrees of suffering with imposter syndrome, and there's 5 different types. So let's try to identify what kind of type that you are so that we can better help you, right? According to researcher Dr. Valerie Young, there are 5 types of imposter syndrome. Ready? Number 1, the perfectionist. This type of imposter syndrome involves believing that unless you were absolutely perfect, you could have done better. You feel like an imposter because your perfectionistic traits make you believe that you're not as good as others might think you are. What kind of life is that? What kind of life is that to live where you do everything better than everyone else, right? You go further, you do more, and yet even when you completed the task, you still have no sort of satisfaction in the work that you've put in. At what point do you feel that it might be okay to tap yourself on the back and say, good job, you're awesome, that was so great? Where does that happen? It doesn't, because the perfectionist is like the Energizer Bunny. They just keep going on to the next one. They never take a moment to breathe and feel their body and say, hey, I did pretty good today. Number 2, the expert. The expert feels like an imposter because they don't know everything there is to know about a particular subject or topic, or they haven't mastered every step in the process because there is more for them to learn. They don't feel as if they've reached the rank of expert. Did that resonate with anyone? I think it was an Erykah Badu song, but it comes from another quote. The quote is, the man who knows everything knows nothing. Even Pocahontas has a quote, and still I cannot see, if the savage one is me, how can there be so much that you don't know, right? There's nothing wrong with not knowing. The journey of life, the joy in life is not knowing. It's the learning process. They say the path is what brings you the most joy. Once you get there, you're kind of just like, oh, what's next? It's the journey of learning these things. You don't have to be an expert. Who is expecting you to be an expert? And I'm pretty sure we all know somebody who's an expert, and really they just get on your nerves. You feel less and less superior. Yeah, they're just agitating. The people that go on and on about what they know, but they never want to hear what you know. There's no open space for that because they just got to know the most about this, and that's it. Number 3, the natural genius. In this imposter type, you may feel like a fraud simply because you don't believe that you're naturally intelligent or competent. If you don't get something right the first time around, or it takes you longer to master a skill, you feel like an imposter. For this one, I find when people suffer with the natural genius, number 1, they've already said something so powerful, and then they'll stop and they'll be like, oh no, but I'm dumb. Like they'll discount themselves. They'll say something so awesome that really makes you think. Oftentimes my face will kind of wrinkle up a little bit, and then they'll pull back and second guess themselves or tell me how other people think you're this or other. I don't care what anybody thinks about you. What do you think about you? Because what you just said was great, and you discounted yourself for what? Number 4, the soloist. It's also possible to feel like an imposter if you had to ask for help to reach a certain level or status. Since you couldn't get there on your own, you question your competence or abilities. This one stands out to me a little bit. Now, I will say personally, I think I suffer from a little bit of all of them. But the soloist, that inability to ask for help because it makes you feel like you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're incompetent. That's terrible. Because let's think, right? On a typical day when someone asks you to help them, what do you think? Do you think, oh, this idiot? Is that your first thought? Or is your first thought, sure, how can I help you? How can I be of service? Sure, come on, let's handle this together. No big deal. Typically, it's the latter that I think. I don't know about you, but if you're thinking the first one, you might need to check your heart posture a little bit. The soloist believes that if they ask these things, that the first set of examples is the results in your mind. And again, this is another example where they're more concerned with what other people think than what they think of themselves. I thought that was strange. Number 5, the super person. This type of imposter syndrome involves believing that you must be the hardest worker or reach the highest levels of achievement possible. And if you don't, you're a fraud. That one stands out to me because, and I've mentioned this, oftentimes in my work, I play the soloist role, so I do it all myself, and then I end up being the super person where it's, oh, I can do all this myself. Now I'm working all night long. I'm not taking breaks. I'm not eating, or I'm overeating because I'm just sitting at a table working all day long. And then in my mind, I envision when I reach my pinnacle of success, I will not share or help anyone. And better yet, I will gloat about how I did it all myself. What satisfaction does that bring you? Even Jesus had 12 disciples. He had friends to delegate work to. They did other things. He did the speech and they did the bread and the fish. Come on now. Playing the superhero role just leads to resentment. And again, even with each one, they had a common theme of caring about what other people think and not asking for help, trying to take it on by yourself. If you weren't supposed to have people to help you, then why are there so many people in the world? with so many different talents and perspectives. If you were supposed to do it all by yourself, then we would all kind of be the same, right? You wouldn't need outside sources. I don't know much about superheroes, but from the superheroes I've seen, when they're in a group, like the Avengers, they all have different things. They all have different skills that they use to get the overall task done. I remember growing up watching the Power Rangers, and when they would unite to become that mighty, the big one, they all had a different extremity that they were. And each one needs one. Each one teach one. The leg needs the arm. The head needs the neck. Real bad. Take it from experience. If it's just a head, how is it going to fight? If it's just an arm, how's it going to get high enough to slap somebody? If it's just a foot, we hopping around. Like, you need other people, and we are all here to help one another. And now I want to help you with this song that I think goes really well with this topic. It's actually one of my favorite songs. It's on all my playlists. Check me out on YouTube. The playlist is there. And it's One Step at a Time by Jordin Sparks. Hurry up and wait. So close, but so far away. Everything that you've always dreamed of, close enough for you to taste, but you just can't touch. You want to show the world, but no one knows your name yet. You wonder when and where and how you're going to make it. You know you can if you get the chance. In your face seems the door keeps slamming. Now you're feeling more and more frustrated, and you're getting all kind of impatient, waiting. We live and we learn to take one step at a time. There's no need to rush. It's like learning to fly or falling in love. It's going to happen when it's supposed to happen, that we find the reasons why, one step at a time. Now, the line in particular that goes into imposter syndrome for me is, you believe and you doubt. You're confused and got it all figured out. Everything that you always wish for could be yours, should be yours, would be yours if they only knew. You want to show the world, but no one knows your name yet. You wonder when and where and how you're going to make it. You know you can if you get the chance. In your face seems the door keeps slamming. Now you're feeling more and more frustrated, and you're getting all kind of impatient, waiting. We live and we learn. That song is important to me because that's how I feel a lot of times. You know you can if you get the chance. Right. And I've been doing comedy for 5 years now. And I did take a hiatus there for healing and such. However, in the 4 years that I was actively pursuing it, I knew if I was faced with the opportunity to kill it, that I was going to do it to it. Like, all I was waiting for was the chance. So what did I do in the meantime? I got prepared. I was doing merch. I was taking every gig that was offered to me. I had the mindset of don't say no. Whatever it is, the answer is yes. And I did some things where I never thought that I would even be offered the opportunity. But when it was over, I was like, wow, I can add that to my arsenal. I did that. So that feeling of I'm just waiting on the door to open. And yet they all just keep closing. Nothing ever came from those things. But who's to say that what came from them was something huge, was a deal? It didn't have to be that. It could have been something intangible, like the confidence to do it. I hosted rehabilitation events, and this is before rehab. I didn't even know I had a problem then. And I'm hosting rehabilitation events and just caring for people who have lost their kids and their family members to addiction. I also did short skits and interviews with people, just little things. And each one taught me something. Even if it was just how to drive and navigate to get to the location, I learned something. So those small things become big later. I'm going to need all of those tools later. And the point of the song is one step at a time. You have to go through and acquire everything you need to get on the way in order to fulfill the mission. At the end, don't despise your youth. In those moments, that's when you learn the most. That's when you are getting your tools so that you can reach the promise. You think you're just going to wake up one day and get to the promise, but is that even fulfilling? Does that even fulfill you? Especially if you have imposter syndrome, does it fulfill you at all? If you suffer from any of those things that I mentioned, it's not going to fulfill you anyway. So you might as well just do the process and take the small steps, buddy. You're going to do the big thing and still not be fulfilled. You're going to reach the big thing and look for the next thing. And all the while, you skip the small steps. So now you don't have the humility, things like that. See, that's intangible. You don't have the persistence. Intangible things that we get on the journey, one step at a time. And then she says it's like learning to fly or falling in love. You don't just meet somebody, some people do, but it's not advised that you just meet somebody and go marry them and go be with them. Have you ever had a relationship like that? I have, minus the marriage part, but totally like, oh, we together, we committed. And those ones be the psychos. They're too eager to get in with you, to get to the mountaintop. We have to take this one step at a time. That's why they say a lot of times you should date your best friend. You should end up with your best friend. Why? Because we've had experiences. We've had conversations, small steps leading to big commitments where we know how to work when the enemy comes and tries to intrude in our marriage. We know how to work because we dealt with that already. We was best friends, remember? All of this is important because it helps you to build the confidence. In this season of my life, the message has been to be present. For me, it's so hard. It's so hard. I'll go on a vacation or a healing retreat and do work because I need this. This will help me get better. This is what I'm here for. No, you're here to enjoy this moment right now because it's all you got. Every breath is a gift. If you look at life that way, it will definitely help you to become present. Every single breath that you get is a gift because at some point, God could literally turn around and be like, nope, no more. That's enough. And that's it. What you going to do without air? Exactly. So to be present, you need to feel your body. You need to be in touch with your body. And where your tension is, like right now, mine is in my ankles. I'm not even gonna lie. So loosen up a little bit and take that time to say, thank you for getting me this far. Thank you that I'm sitting here like this right now. Thank you that my heels didn't break and that my feet are lotion. Praise God. That's the difference. That makes all of the difference. That small thing. Wow, I put on lotion today. That makes me feel so much better. Like, yeah. That's what being present is about. Because I am enough, just like this, right now, in this moment, even if I am a little ashy, I am enough. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to be anyone else. And I don't have to appease anybody at all. And guess what? You don't have to either. This episode, I would like to dedicate to my cousin, Alexa Brown. We lost her August 24th, 2023. She was 16 years old when she lost her battle with addiction. I'd like to read a little bit of her obituary, and then I'll go on to say my love letter. Alexa loved and cared about people. She encouraged everyone around her and genuinely knew how to make people feel better, not only about the moment, but about themselves. She was known as the biggest hype man. Alexa was never afraid to say what she felt. She was honest and bold, and she wore her heart on her sleeve, emotionally connecting to all who knew her. She was truly beautiful inside and out. Her eyes were captivating and fearless. She selflessly brought her laugh and a joke to any situation, and she will never be forgotten. Above all else, Alexa loved Jesus, and she spent many nights in prayer. She had an evangelical spirit that is still evangelized today. Her desire was to bring her family and friends closer to the Lord. I really enjoyed Alexa. Prior to her untimely death, we had gone as a family. We went to DC to a church event, like a praising event out in the park. And her friend had mentioned that they gave out popcorn. I love popcorn. I was like, what? They had popcorn? Nobody offered me no popcorn. And when we got in the car, she said, oh, Dom, here. And she gave me 2 bags of popcorn. And I was like so excited. I'm like, where did she get this from? She pulled it out of nowhere. Like they didn't even know who had it because, I was looking for it in the park. They didn't even know who had it. She pulled out 2 bags and gave them to me. And I went back to my hotel room that night and had a good time with my popcorn, okay? And it just shows who Alexa was. She heard you. She was listening. And she cared. She didn't have to do that. She could have ate the popcorn. She could have gave it away. She had a little sister there she could have gave it to. And she made it a point to make sure that I knew that she heard me and that she cared enough to take that step. Another thing that I really admired about her was when we would have family gatherings. Now, typically during family parties, my mom and I take it upon ourselves to like clean up, do the cleaning in and out and like wash the dishes and things of that nature. Especially at TT's house, because you know TT don't play. She gonna cook all this food, but she not washing no dishes. So we would go and do all of that. And I remember she would also join us at the parties. She would be in the kitchen with us cleaning. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but like the typical person is not at a party cleaning, but that's just what I was taught to do. And I actually enjoy it. My mother taught me how, so we do it together. And there's another person in here doing it with us. She didn't have to. She was only 16. She could have did whatever she wanted. Me and my mom had it done. But it's the point that she saw a need and filled a need, that she felt like, hey, this is where I'm gonna be. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to be an asset to the team. She could have went upstairs and played video games if she wanted to. Another thing that I loved about Alexa was she could really dance. The girl could dance, okay? I don't know nobody TikToking like Alexa, and she would do it 12 times. You listen to the song 12 times, and each time she's killing it better than the time before. So she's truly missed, and she's definitely gone too soon. So Alexa, I love you, and I know you're in a better place. And you know, because you can see us, how your life has affected your family and how what they're doing with it to affect other people. We now have Bible study every, 3 days out the week, and I love it. It gives me so much life. She did that. Her impact did that. Her life left that here for us, and we commune that way. And now we can be a stronger family through these things. So I just thank you. I love you, and I wish I would have spent more time. She was an awesome human. And I'd like to thank you. So in this moment, I'd like to present you with flowers. I got them fresh from the store just for you. And I'd like to propose that if you know anyone in your life that's struggling with addiction, that you present them with flowers now. Don't wait. It hurts different to put flowers on a grave. And that one gesture could be the difference between them getting the help or even just feeling appreciated in that moment. Been bamboozled by Imposter Syndrome 2? Share your faux pas and triumphs using the hashtag #RealMeRealConfidence. I'd love to see your posts, and please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give me 5 stars. But also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go watch me on YouTube. I didn't put this file on for no reason, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to turn on the notification bell so you get updates on the next episode.